All right, let's talk about something that can make or break a project, moving your backend code from total chaos to professional clarity. By the time we're done here, you're going to have a solid blueprint for building clean, scalable projects you can be proud of. Let's dive in.
So let me ask you something. Does your project folder ever look like, well, a complete mess? You know exactly what I mean, right? That classic spaghetti code where you're honestly afraid to change one line of code because it might bring the whole thing crashing down.
Yeah, we have all been there. Your main server file, your index.js, just grows into this 2,000-line monster. And trying to add a new feature? Forget about it. It feels like performing open-heart surgery. Debugging is an absolute nightmare. This isn't just messy, it's unsustainable.
But here's the good news. There is a much better way. We're going to go from that messy pile of code to a real, professional blueprint. And it all starts with one single, powerful idea. And that idea is separation of concerns. Honestly, this is the bedrock of pretty much all good software design. All it means is that every piece of your application should have one job. That's it. Your database code doesn't belong with your request handling code. Simple as that.
And hey, if this is ringing a bell, it should. This is the exact same philosophy behind super popular patterns like MVC, Model View Controller. We're just taking that proven idea and applying it to how we organize our files so everything has a clear purpose and a proper home.
Okay, so let's take a little tour of this new organized home for our code. We're going to start with the absolute foundation, the core folders that every professional backend project really needs.
Our tour starts right at the front door, the server.js file. This is the main entry point. Its only job is to kick things off, start the server, connect to the database, and basically tell all the other major pieces it's time to get to work. It's the conductor of our orchestra.
All right, we're inside. The first room we're going to check out is the config folder. Think of this like the building's utility room. It's where you keep all the important settings that might change depending on where the app is running.
So stuff like your database connection details, your secret API keys, what port number to use, all that lives here, safely tucked away from your main application logic. This makes your app way more secure and a whole lot easier to manage.
Next stop on our tour is the models folder. Now, if config is the utility room, the models are the architectural blueprints for our data. They define the exact shape and structure of the information we're working with.
For instance, a user model would define that every user must have a name, an email, and maybe a password. All the code that actually talks to the database, creating, reading, updating, deleting, it all lives here. This folder becomes the single source of truth for your data.
Okay, foundation is set, the blueprints are ready. Now let's talk about the action. What happens when requests from users start flooding in? How do we manage all that traffic?
Well, all that traffic starts in the routes folder. The best way to think about this folder is like a receptionist at the front desk of a busy office. A call comes into a specific extension, and the receptionist knows exactly who to forward it to.
And this is absolutely key. The route's only job is to listen at a specific URL like /API users, grab the incoming request, and pass it along. It does zero thinking. It's purely a traffic director.
So where does the receptionist send that call? It goes to the controllers folder. If the routes are the receptionists, then the controllers are the department managers. They get the assignment and are responsible for actually getting the job done.
The controllers are the real brains of the operation. This is where your actual logic lives. A controller takes the request, figures out what to do, maybe uses a model to talk to the database, and then prepares and sends a response back to the user.
So let's just put this side by side to make it crystal clear. Routes are the what. What URL are we dealing with? Controllers are the how. How are we going to handle this specific request? Getting this separation right is fundamental.
But hold on. Before a request gets all the way to a controller, there's often one more checkpoint it has to pass through, the middleware folder. Think of middleware as a security guard, standing between the receptionist and the manager's office.
Middleware functions are incredibly powerful. They run after the route gets the request, but before the controller does its work. They are perfect for things you need to do over and over again. You know, stuff like, is this user even logged in? Is the data they sent valid? Let's log this request. That's all middleware.
And that's our tour. We've seen how every single folder has a very specific role to play.
Now, let's zoom out and see how all these pieces work together in perfect harmony.
So here's the entire journey. A request hits an endpoint in your routes. The route might pass it through some middleware for a security check. Then it calls the right function in the controllers. That controller uses a model to work with the database. And finally, the controller sends a response back. It's clean, it's logical, it's predictable, the exact opposite of spaghetti code.
So why do we do all this? What's the real payoff? Well, it's huge. Your code is instantly easier for anyone to understand. It becomes a breeze to maintain and add features. And maybe most importantly, when you're working with the team, everybody knows where to look for code and where to put new code. It's a game changer.
We've just laid out the entire blueprint for a professional, scalable backend. That chaos of having everything jammed into one giant file, that's in the past. So the only real question left is, with this new structure in your toolkit, what are you going to build next?